this down in your spirit, easily conquer. You're not going to deal with that depression forever, easily conquer. That cancer is not going to take you out, easily conquer. That struggle and lack is not your destiny, you will easily conquer it. One touch of God's favor and suddenly things turn around. I want to talk to you today about easier than you think. When we face challenges and have things that come against us, it's easy to start dreading it, thinking this is going to be so hard. How am I going to make it through this treatment? How can I deal with this child that's off course? How can I accomplish this dream? I don't have the resources, the connections. And yes, there are seasons where we have to endure, do the right thing when it's hard. But there are also times that God will step in and make it easier than it looks. The scripture says He goes before us and makes the crooked places straight. That means what should be overwhelming is no problem at all. What looks complicated, you don't see a solution, suddenly things fall into place. You don't have the connections, you don't know the right people, but out of nowhere, someone steps in and shows you favor. You thought it was going to be a long, drawn-out process, but it turned out easier than it looked. Now, you may be in situations now that you're tempted to dread. You've already decided it's going to be hard. You're gearing up to endure it. God is saying it's going to be easier than you think. There's going to be a supernatural grace, a supernatural favor, supernatural strength. He's working behind the scenes, making rough places smooth. He's changing people's minds, causing them to be for you. Now, you have to get in agreement with God. You can't go around dreading, making plans for it to be hard. You're drawing in what you're thinking about. If you're telling yourself you can't pass the course, this problem's too big, I'll never make it through this sickness, you're defeating yourself. Turn it around. Yes, this looks difficult, but God, I know you're still on the throne. You said your yoke is easy and your burden is light. You said you're making my rough places smooth. So Father, thank you that this will be easier than it looks. God has the right people lined up for you. He knows how to change people's minds. He knows how to cause them to be for you. You don't have to do everything in your own strength, your own talent, your own ability. The Most High God is going before you. He's fighting your battles. He's arranging the good breaks, the healing, the favor, the promotion. We had worked for 2 years to try to make that happen. We stayed strong, fought the good fight of faith. Didn't happen overnight. It was a struggle, but we kept believing. We kept declaring the promises. We kept doing the right thing. Then in that one moment, God suddenly turned it around. It was difficult for years, then suddenly it got easy. You may go through seasons of struggle where you don't see anything happening, no growth, no improvement. Thoughts will tell you, this will always be difficult. You're always going to struggle. It looks like it's going to be long, hard, drawn out, but if you'll stay in faith, you're going to come into these moments of favor where suddenly things fall into place. Suddenly the burden is lifted. Suddenly people change their mind. Suddenly your business takes off. Suddenly your health turns around. It's not a struggle anymore. God is going to make things happen that you couldn't make happen. And some of the things that are stressing you out now, you're worried, thinking of all the reasons it's not going to work out. Like with me, you're going to find God has already resolved the problem. He's already changed their mind. He's already lined up the promotion, the healing, the good breaks. You think you're going to have to work for it, convince someone, earn it, endure, outlast. No, it's going to be easier than you think. God has already gone before you. He's already worked out what you're worrying about. Quit dreading it. Quit losing sleep over it. I spent a lot of time stressed over how I was going to convince that council member. What was I going to say? If I had known it was going to be so easy, I would have stayed in peace. I would have relaxed and enjoyed my life knowing that God had already taken care of it. I wonder if you're dreading things that later on you're going to realize God has already worked it out. It's not going to be as difficult as it looks. You're going to find out God has gone before you. He's worked out what's stressing you. He's worked out the problem at the office. He's worked out the conflict with that relative. Looks like it's going to be a big ordeal, take a long time. You're going to discover the rough places have already been made smooth. This is what happened with the Israelites. They were standing at the Jordan River, contemplating whether to go into the promised land. Their parents and grandparents stood at that same place 40 years earlier but they talked themselves out of it. The people living there were the Anakites. They were descendants of giants, huge, strong, powerful people. The Israelites' parents thought they were too big, turned around, and wandered in the desert for 40 years. This was a critical moment for their children. Would they do the same thing? Think it was too hard? We'll never defeat these people? As they were debating what to do, God gave them a promise. Deuteronomy 9 says, today you are about to face people that are much stronger and more powerful, but the Lord your God will cross over ahead of you like a devouring fire to destroy them. He will subdue them so you can easily conquer. When they heard that, they changed their mindset. This is not going to be difficult. This is not going to defeat us. God has gone before us to take care of what's trying to stop us. They went in with boldness, with confidence. They defeated the Anakites and lived in the promised land. It was easier than they thought. You may have situations that seem much bigger, stronger, trouble at work, dealing with the sickness, legal problem. The odds are against you. You're thinking, how can I deal with this? It's going to be so difficult. God is going to do for you what He did for them. He's crossing over ahead of you right now so you can easily conquer. It's not going to be what it looks like. You're going to see favor, breakthroughs, freedom, things that you couldn't make happen. It's the hand of God. Now get this down in your spirit, easily conquer. You're not going to deal with that depression forever, easily conquer. That cancer is not going to take you out, easily conquer. That struggle and lack is not your destiny. You will easily conquer it. One touch of God's favor and suddenly things turn around. Suddenly giants come down. Suddenly addictions are broken. Suddenly doors open. You see increase, abundance. When you're tempted to dread, worry, think it's too much, turn it around. Father, thank you that you're crossing over ahead of me, devouring what's trying to stop me. Thank you that I will easily conquer, that I will go into my promised land, that I will become all that you've created me to be. God gave Nehemiah a dream to rebuild the walls of Jerusalem. They had been down for many years. People were living there unprotected. Nehemiah was 1,000 miles away working as a cupbearer for the king. He wasn't a builder. He worked in the kitchen. He didn't have the resources, the funds, the crew, the experience. All the odds were against him. Looked like an impossible situation. Many times God will ask you to do things that seem beyond your own ability. He'll put dreams in your heart that seem too big. You don't have the experience, the talent, the connections. And if we look at it only in our ability, then we'll talk ourselves out of it. But God wouldn't ask you to do it if He hadn't already lined up what you need. It looks difficult. You don't see how it can happen, but if you'll take steps of faith, you'll discover God has already gone before you. It's going to be easier than you think. I'm not saying there won't be obstacles, people trying to stop you, and times that you can feel overwhelmed, but God is not going to leave you there. There would be these moments of favor where God makes things happen that you couldn't make happen. Like changing that council member's mind. Favor that catapults you into your destiny. Favor that opens doors you can't open. Favor that causes your business to take off. Nehemiah could have thought of all the reasons why he couldn't rebuild the wall. God, this is too hard. What you're asking me to do is not reasonable. It's not practical. But deep down, Nehemiah understood this principle, that the God who asks you to do difficult things is the same God that goes before you and makes the crooked places straight. It's a test. If you play it safe and think, I can't do it, Joel. The Anakites are too big. The dream too great. The opposition too strong. Then it will be too hard. The problem is you never saw what God was up to. If you don't take the risk, you'll never see how God was going to step in and make it easier than you thought. All the odds were against Nehemiah. Thoughts telling him he didn't have a chance. This was not possible. But Nehemiah chose to believe. God is looking for some Nehemiahs, for some people who won't get talked out of their dreams, people that are not moved by how big the challenge is, people that don't dread, thinking it's too hard, too much, too long, too great, I can't do it. No, be a Nehemiah. The reason God's asking you to do something that's beyond your ability is He's about to show you His favor like you've never seen. It looks hard, but if you'll take that step of faith, you'll discover God has gone before you. He's going to cause things to fall into place. It's going to be easier than you think. Nehemiah chapter 1, he prayed, God, grant me success as I go to the king and ask for a favor. Put it in his heart to help me. Nehemiah prayed a bold prayer. God, I'm going to go to the king. I'm going to ask him to be good to me, but I need a favor, God. Put it in his heart to help me. What a great prayer. God put it in people's heart to help us. God calls us to stand out. God calls people to want to be good to us. Well, Joel, that's kind of selfish. Listen, if you're going to reach your destiny, if you're going to accomplish your God-given dreams, if you're going to go places no one in your family has gone, you have to have a boldness. You can't be weak, intimidated. This is too much. You have to ask big, pray big, believe big. You're going to need other people to open doors, other people to fund your dream, other people to use their influence to push you forward. Have you ever prayed, God, put it in people's hearts to help me? Put it in people's hearts to show me favor? Nehemiah, during World War II, an American fighter pilot was flying a mission over the Pacific Ocean when he ran out of fuel. He had to land on an island controlled by the Japanese. He and his men knew they would soon be captured and taken as prisoners. With their plane sitting on the beach, no fuel, they had all given up. All that is, except one man. It just so happened this bomber was carrying a chaplain. He believed that God could make a way where he didn't see a way. He began to pray and ask God to protect them, give them favor, and help them to get back to their base. The other men thought he was kind of far out. They were on a deserted island, no boat, no food, just a matter of time before they would be found. Early the next morning, one of the men couldn't sleep. He decided to go to the beach and take a walk. He looked out in the waves and saw something strange, bobbing up and down. There was this large canister, about 5 feet tall, 3 feet wide. He went over and looked closer. The words were written on it, aviation fuel. He couldn't believe it. He shouted to the other airmen. They came, pulled it out of the water. They rushed to their plane, poured the fuel in it. In a few minutes, they were in the air, on their way to their camp, not far away. Their lives were spared. Later, it was discovered that the canister was one of hundreds that were on a big cargo barge headed to the airbase. On the way, the barge was destroyed by the enemy forces. All the other canisters had been lost, but this one floated over 1,000 miles, past 25 other islands. Just so happened to wash up on this island right where the plane had run out of fuel. It just so happened the soldier went out early that morning and saw it. Seemed like an impossible situation. Deserted island, on the enemy's territory, no airport, no gas stations, but God never runs out of options. He had the solution before you had the problem. That canister had been floating in that direction months before the plane ever run out of fuel. It could have sunk, gotten lost, washed up on another island, but what God has ordained for you is going to find you. It's going to show up at the right time. God already has the healing en route, the promotion en route, the freedom en route. The abundance is en route. The right people are en route. It may seem like you could never get out of your situation, never accomplish that dream. You don't know what God is up to. You don't know what's already en route. It's not going to be as difficult as you think. It's not going to take as long as it looks. God is going before you, making crooked places straight. If you could see what He has coming, how He's going to turn the trouble around, restore what you've lost, thrust you to a new level, you wouldn't be discouraged. You wouldn't complain. You would thank Him for His goodness. It may look complicated, may seem stressful. You don't see how the odds are against you. You could live worried. You have to keep reminding yourself it's going to be easier than you think. God is in control. He's fighting your battles. His plans for you are for good. He's bigger than the sickness, greater than the trouble, more powerful than what's trying to stop you. In the scripture, Gideon and his 300 men were facing an army of 120,000. Gideon was already afraid, intimidated. God finally convinced him to lead the people of Israel against the Midianites. I can hear him saying, God, this is impossible. We're so outnumbered. How do you expect me to defeat these people? God puts you in situations that are way over your head. Number one, to see if you'll trust Him. And number two, so He can show out in your life. God said in Judges 6, Gideon, you will defeat the Midianites as if you were fighting one man. God was saying, Gideon, I know you're facing 120,000 men. I know you're outnumbered. I didn't put you in this situation by accident. Trust me, I'm going before you. I'm going to make the crooked places straight. It's going to be easier than you think.